Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the official Trackmania channel for episode 7 of the Trackmania Grand League Weekly Show. I'm glad to be here alongside Sinas once again. I'm Thomas Mengozi, aka GGeek. How you doing, Sinas? How you feeling tonight?
Good evening and welcome back to the weekly show. Yeah, feeling really good. Excited for this the show this week. We're approaching the end of the season, so yeah, it's getting really exciting now.
Yes, exactly. We only have one more step to go, of course, coming up this weekend. We're going to be talking about that, of course, a little bit later on in the show, but of course, you know the drill. We're going to be talking, of course, about Step 7 of the Trackmania Grand League that happened on Sunday, and so you'll get to see the highlights, you get to see the maps as well, and you'll get to hear some of our opinions on the maps that we've seen and how it has played out. For instance, the first 6-lapper that we saw on Grasshopper, the introduction of throttling acts, as well talking about the overall results and coming back on Mada's very first win in the Trackmania Grand League. Another rookie win, well, quote-unquote rookie winner, but yeah, very first career win in the Trackmania Grand League for Mada, which is very well a very commendable achievement. And after that, we will get to hear from the winner of step number 7 himself. We will get to hear from Mada after we are done talking through the rankings and talking through step number 7. After that, we will get, of course, into previewing the 8th and final step of the season, what might be worth looking out for in the rankings, as well as presenting the brand new map Icy Snake by Rocket. And afterwards, we'll switch over to the challenger side, where we will be hearing from your current championship leader, Mime, off the back of his 4th step win in the Grand League Challenger season. And yeah, having taken a ×4 multiplier that he must be pretty proud of. At least I'm assuming he's pretty proud of, given how he approached the step. We kind of discussed that with Kaspa on the cast itself. Then afterwards, short recap of the step itself in the Challenger, quick recap of the Open Grand League standings, and then what's to be coming up next week. So, I guess without further ado, I think we should kick off with Step 7 of the TMGL season that happened on Sunday. And as per tradition, we're going to give you a bit more of a visual representation of some of the moments of the step. So here are your top 10 highlights for step number 7.
Let's follow Mudda. It's only 3 people actually. Mudda, Carl Jr. and Mossa, and Carl Jr. with an early respawn will fail all the way down.
Je pense que là, il faut prendre un gros truc et la semaine prochaine, tu prends x2 quand les mecs qui veulent pas du tout faire x2, ils vont DNF instant.
Oh, il le prend? Il l'a pris?
Ah bah, il l'a pris.
Ok.
Can Gwen get the finish and secure 27 points for himself? Yes, he will.
C'est absolument splendide ce qu'il nous fait. Ça a failli clipper, mais non. La trajectoire très intérieure de la part d'Afi. Est-ce qu'il peut terminer son round là-dessus, mesdames et messieurs? C'est clean, carré.
Catching up the tween here, little by little. Looks like it'll be those two in the identity here. Binks with a lot of speed, almost off the edge. Now the final turn, he crashes. Papu is going to try to overtake Tween, but it's not enough. Tween here will not win, and Bren drives off as well.
Le premier est très bien pris de son côté, le deuxième aussi. Je pense que ça devrait être.
Il a ralenti beaucoup, il a safe,
il a choke.
il a safe, il a choke.
Let's go.
Gets through the first one, pushes on the second one. Gwen can win this if he wants it. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me.
Ok. Ok. Parfait ça.
Hey.
Il est almost on PS.
Oui,
c'est bon, il a. Let's go! Let's go!
Approaches here. Early landing, better speed. He's down into top 2. But now, Mudda stands in his way with 59 points. Mudda looking to multiply. Gwen getting closer though. Final railing. Gwen has more speed, but Mudda clips on the outside, and Gwen as well. Aurel versus Scrappy. Who's gonna win this one? It's gonna be Scrappy on the finish line.
Aurel, you're my friend, but you already have so many points. Just think about it. Think about it. Mudda, We'll go inside and we'll take the 5x for... Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. He must be so happy.
So, those were your top 10 highlights for step number 7 of the Grand League, of course, with the main highlight here being the first win for Mudda, winning his first 5x multiplier. He won 3x and 4x before, but then he took his very first 5x here. There's just one 2x remaining to actually get the full set for him. And yeah, also plenty of action as you have seen on the track here with Grasshopper, with Throttling Act. In fact, let's take a look at the map pack that was played out last weekend. So, Poolside was the opening race. Oh, that's a little bit too early for that. That was the wrong graphic. But yeah, anyways, you got a bit of a glimpse of the weekend coming up. Of course, we will get to that at the end of the show. Anyways, so the map pack for this week, week was Poolside, Launchpad, Bolt Holes, Grasshopper, and Throttling Act. Poolside, which would see its final 6-lapper use in the regular season, and then following that was Launchpad from Ubisoft Nordeo, then Bolt Holes from Rocket in its second run in the 6-lap race, then the very first 6-lapper on Grasshopper took place, and then of course Banano's brand new map Throttling Act, which we talked about as being less zany than what he produced with Barrelistic, and yeah, I feel like it did provide some pretty good racing. As for the 6-lapper on Grasshopper, there weren't many people. There were like maybe 3 or 4 people at tops that were going for the full buck side, but yeah, ultimately the safe strap ultimately prevailed, especially in the final lap with that drag race between Bren and Granadi at the line.
Yeah, exactly. And on the 2-lappers, I don't know, it felt a little bit inconsistent. Lots of crashing. Round 4 of the Trackmania Grand League comes to mind, or sorry, the 4x multiplier round comes to mind, or even the 5x multiplier round in the Challenger series. But yeah, we did see some DNFing just going for higher multipliers, which is of course always fun. And yeah, you're right. Grasshopper, a lot more saving on the 6-lap performance. Of course, a little bit expected. You don't want to crash. That's the worst. So if you just take a little bit more time, but you make it safely, that is the way to go.
Yeah, and I feel like this, the identity of Grasshopper, especially when you're trying to safe it, has a bit more leeway and is a bit more forgiving. Well, in terms of the ways you approach it compared to the map that comes before it, which is of course Bolt Holes, where you do have to be on it every single lap. You have to really have the exact same approach every single lap. Otherwise, if you have a slight deviation that does not really correspond with the first jump and the hole that you're trying to go through, it completely wrecks your run. And that has happened again, of course, on Bolt Holes. It is a pretty base-paced map, but it's pretty punishing in its identity that is deceptively difficult. Theory, pretty simple, but of course, again, it's the execution that really makes the difficulty of the identity what it is.
Yeah, and it is a really difficult identity, I think. At least that's what it looks like.
Yeah, to actually pull it off consistently, having tried it myself, even on a 2-lapper, it is very, very difficult. So yeah, we were pretty happy with I was actually pretty happy with the action that we saw on the Throttling Act. I feel like it was a pretty good introduction for the map. I can't wait to see what it actually produces in the 6-lapper, because here, even though it requires precision on the identity, like Bolt Holes, I feel like it's not as freaky precise as Bolt Holes was.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one, and we will probably see... Well, I mean, you can't really change the line. It's driving over a small place there, but what we will probably see is a little bit less speed going into it once you drive over that full speed block, to make sure that you make the turn, don't fall off, stuff like that. So instead of the full risk, full ham going for the most amount of speed possible.
Yeah, kind of gauging the entry speed before crossing the Force Excel block. Yeah, that's definitely what we might definitely see. So, of course, those maps were played, and afterwards we only have one well, not only one headline, but the biggest headline of course of that step is a brand new winner in the Trackmania Grand League, the 6th different winner in 7 steps. Mudda from Edelweiss Esports took his very first Grand League step win last weekend by virtue of winning ×5 multiplier. So let me actually run you through this step of Mudda real quick. So, sticking off with 2 third places on Poolside and Launchpad, scoring 20 points on each of those maps. Then afterwards, after the break on Bolt Holes, pulled off P5, and then on Grasshopper apparently made a mistake and unfortunately dropped down to P15, at that point scoring a total of 59 points in the first 4 races. Then you saw the highlights at the end of the reel. Mata versus Aurel, drag race to the line. Mata was the victor and took his very first 5x multiplier, allowing him to multiply a score to 295 points, allowing him to secure the step win. In second place of that step, we find Granadi from Alternate Atax, kicking off with a race win on pole side, followed by another top 8 finish on Launchpad, P8 precisely, then 2 consecutive second place finishes on both Bolt Holes and Grasshopper, allowing him to score 84 points in the first 4 races, which is I think it was the most out of anyone in over the course of the first 4 maps of the step full stop, which is insanely consistent for Granadi. He was having an insane step, and then Granadi took the win on round number 2, which was a level 2 multiplier, allowing him to score 168 points, which is still not bad. I mean, it's credits to him for actually actually playing it safe. He said himself that he felt very happy with that performance, not making any single mistake over the course of the step. So really commendable performance there from Granadi, who finished the runner-up of that step. Just a few points behind in P3, we find Afi, P8 on pole side, followed by second place on Launchpad, then a race win on Bolt Holes, and P5 on Grasshopper. Again, not finishing outside of the top 8 once in the step, allowing himself to score 80 points in the first 4 races, and then Afi was one of the first ones to win a multiplier round. He won the level 2 multiplier as a result of that, scoring 160 points, scoring himself 3rd place. Then in P4, we find Scrappy, who had a bit more of a seesawing step, starting off with P15 on pole side. He then bounced back for a top 8 finish on Launchpad with P7, then back down to P11 on Bolt Holes, and another top 8 finish on Grasshopper, allowing him to score 35 points. Then on Throttling Act, you saw the highlight. Thanks to mistakes from Aurel and Bren in front of him, it turned onto a drag race to the line for the win on round 7, and he took that round win, allowing himself to score 4 times the amount of points, bumping his score to 140 and scoring 4th place. And to complete the top 5, we find Bren from the Carmine Corp. 7th place to kick things off on pole side, followed by Launchpad P14 for him. 3rd place on Bolt Holes, and then a race win on Grasshopper, scoring him 63 points in the first 4 races. And then he won himself a level 2 multiplier round, allowing him to double his score to 126 points, netting him 5th place in the step. With that out of the way, I think we should take a look at these Grand League standings after the first 7 steps of the season. Just 1 step left to go. And this is how the ranking looks like. 928 points for Afi, who currently leads, just 18 points ahead of Granadi, who managed to get a little bit of a gap back to Afi, while he clawed 8 points out of Afi's lead, so the lead has been cut down from 26 to 18 points. Mata, with his great performance and his very first step win, moves up to 3rd place overall. Aurel dropping down to P4. Gwen staying put in P5. Masa dropping down to P6, just 2 points behind Gwen. Pack and Binks complete the top 8. Papu, Scrappy, Carl Jr., Bren, Tween, Spam, Kappa, and Worker in that order. Kappa and Tween trading places. Bren moving up to currently sitting in P12. Scrappy moving up into P10 and very much in the hunt for the final playoff spots. And it seems as though the fight for the lead and the top placings, even in the order, is definitely hotting up. It's definitely closing up.
It is indeed, and of course for me the focus has been on the lower part where Spam finds himself sadly at the end of the season. And what was very interesting to see is that Seween went for a DNF in one of the multiplier rounds to try and get a higher one, which really shows that even at the end of the season, if you're at the bottom of the standings, it really matters to get these high multipliers to propel yourself up the standings, because it really can make the difference of staying in the season for next season or having to fight for it in the relegation. So
yeah, indeed. And yeah, just a few things actually to actually kind of read through. One very important information: the season of Carl Jr. is already over. He told himself on Twitter that he has an IRL ceremony that he has to attend to. He will not be able to play the 8th and final step of the season, which is of course very sad to see, a competitor not being able to make it. And to quickly riff on the battle for on the bottom 4 here, Tween, Spam, Kappa, and Worker. Even though I feel like the positions are pretty much set in stone, I don't really see, except from a very big boy step from either of those 4 players, which can happen. I would like to be proven wrong. But yeah, I would actually, I feel like those places are set in stone, but that doesn't mean that the order of those placings is not as important, because it determines who you're going to be playing against, of course, in the head-to-head. And having a certain seeding, like finishing in P15, for instance, for Kappa, having to play versus Spam, or finishing versus finishing P16 and having to play against Sween, can make a bit of a difference in your chances of relegation. That's taking Kappa as an example, but you get the idea. Every single place counts.
Yeah, you're completely right, and we'll have to see what the last step will bring us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be exciting.
It's gonna be something, boys. Let me tell you. So.
Oh yeah, and sorry. One thing more is that this will probably be the first time and maybe the last time we ever see Carl Jr. not making the playoffs, which is really weird.
I very much hope so. This is a weird situation that I don't think everybody expected, and I don't think everybody wants to actually live again. At least that's my personal opinion. But
it just feels a little bit weird to not have him.
Yeah, it feels odd. It feels a little bit off as well. So let me just check if everything is ready on that side. Yeah, it seems as though we got our first of 2 guests, and yeah, as we said a little bit earlier, we're gonna have a chat with none other than Mata, your winner for step number 7 of the Trackmania Grand League. Welcome back on the show, Mata. Grand League step winner. How does that sound?
Well, absurd, to be honest. But yeah, there were a few times last season where I was pretty close, but yeah, just wasn't able to keep my points with the old system. But yeah, very happy to take my first 5x, first step win.
So
yeah, feeling really good.
As I said, and you've already been here before, so you pretty much know the drill. I'm not the one asking the questions. It's been a bit of an occasion last week, but that was a totally different set of circumstances. Here, Sinas is gonna once again take the floor.
Hey, Mata, welcome back to the show, and good morning to you, because I think it's around 6 o'clock for you, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, 6:15 in the morning. That's correct.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting times, but yeah, that's just the way it goes, right? If you're an Australian player.
Well, I live on a degenerate sleep schedule, so it doesn't really matter to me. But...
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good fix, I guess. So let's get into your step last week. You got the 5x round, which is just great, especially with. Well, let's first talk about your first 4 maps, right? Because you got 3 times top 8 in the first 3, and then sadly a little bit of a mistake in the last one. How did you feel going into the multiplier phase with your step so far?
I was having a lot of fun. And the fail I did on map 4 was just on Grasshopper. It was because I was going for the grass slide strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just going full balls on that map, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But hey, it was a lot of fun. That's what matters.
That is very nice to hear, and yeah, indeed, sometimes it doesn't pay off, but yeah, I mean, if you do make it 6 times in a row with the bug slide, I imagine you would be in a high position, so I can see why you went for it. And then going into the multiplier phase, you were ahead in the 4x multiplier round for a very long time. I think basically the first full lap, and then of course the mistake came. Well, how hard was it to regain your focus back into the 5x multiplier round?
Honestly, I never lost focus. I was a bit like, oh no, but I knew I had another chance in the 5x round. The real unnerving thing for me was when I touched the wall in the second lap. I thought I'd lost it then, but then the gap was still close. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So that was, yeah, you lock in a 295 point step, which is basically double any other step you've ever done. Well, that is very nice, and you shoot up to the top 3 on the general standings. So that is very nice, a bronze medal for you so far. What is going to be your strategy going into the last step? Are you aiming to even go higher?
I actually want to go for the win of the regular season.
Oh, all right.
It's actually really important to get the top 4 because you get the places 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the playoffs. So you get to pick the first maps.
Oh,
So,
that is a good
what I'm
point.
going for.
That is a good point. Sorry, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, it just came up to me that yeah, indeed, on the final phases, the first 4 of the season are the ones that actually get to pick the maps for the first stage. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and I mean, going into it next week, which is of course going to be important then, if you want to go for first place, you need a good multiplier phase for that. And we have an ice identity actually, and one of the first names that come to my mind when I see that identity is Muda. So how do you feel about this new map?
I love it. It's like within like 30 minutes of playing, I knew I was going to enjoy the map and do well on it. So yeah, I'm going to go for the higher multiplier. I'm not going to hide that. I'm considering going only for 4x and 5x. Yeah, just to try get the top seed. But yeah,
Wow.
I'll have to wait and see what happens on the weekend.
No, I already can't wait. That sounds really cool to spectate at least, because you will probably not be the only player who will be doing this, and everyone will be doing this for different reasons.
I think my direct opponent is Gwen, because I think he's going to do exactly the same thing, go for the 4x or 5x multiplier with the good stick slappers. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the final map is there. We're gonna see some players having trying to pull out the big BDE, trying to go for the bigger multipliers. And it's gonna be very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly
indeed.
that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
There's probably like 5 people considering going for 4x, so that should be interesting.
Yeah, that is 5 players in for 2 rounds. That's going to be a very tight battle. So yeah, well, I assume you're going to go all in with training on the new map, or how will your training schedule be like this week?
Well, my focus will be on the 6 lappers again, just to make sure I have a good base going into the multiplier. But obviously, I put the time into the new map because it's the one I've played the least. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And I want to zoom out a little bit and go back a couple of weeks. In step 5, I remember that you got top 8 in all 4 of the maps. And that was I was really impressed by your performance there. But sadly, you didn't manage to get any multipliers that week. Does this week feel like some sort of redemption for that, now that you got a 5x with a good step combined?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's the one thing I was missing from the entire season, was having good 6 lappers with a multiplier. Like, that was the first step that had happened. So yeah, I'm very happy with it.
All right, awesome to hear, and well deserved. And yeah, like you mentioned already, there's going to be some fighting in the end. Step 5 players going for the 4x and 5x round. And there's also this battle going on for the top 8. Who do you think is going to make it around that part of the bracket?
Oh man, like it's too close to call. It really depends who pops off in the people to watch out for are the ones who do well in the first 2 maps, like that, because getting a good first 2 maps really sets up your mentality for the rest of the step. So yeah, keep an eye out for the first couple of maps.
Ooh, interesting. So this is also the case for you. If you start out your step well, this will carry out through the rest?
Yeah, exactly. Like the momentum just like snowballs. Like your mental just goes insane. Yeah, your focus just goes really high.
I kind of this actually brings me to a question that popped up in my mind. You say that you have to be careful on the first 2 maps and try to get a good performance there. I just remember that you guys also have a bit of a mid-game break, quote unquote, with a clash time. Doesn't that kind of like put a bit of a stop on your momentum, or does it make any difference at all in the way you approach the 3rd or 4 races?
It definitely makes a difference. Yes. It's a very good way to shake off the nerves, like especially if you've had a bad start to the step. But I don't think it really kills momentum. I think it's a nice break to get rid of the shaky hands and yeah, set you up nicely for the 3rd map.
All right, interesting. That's pretty interesting thought, because yeah, of course, the 6-lapper performance is always very, very important, and doubly so when you're trying to actually get cobble together a challenge to get back into the playoff spot. So yeah, it has to all come together, and I was wondering if that kind of maybe have an effect, but yeah, pretty interesting insight.
All right, so now last step of the season coming up. Are you already thinking about the playoffs? What do you think about the map pack going into the playoffs right now?
I'm very happy that there's 2 maps with ice sliding in it. Like that was way more than I was expecting last week. Yeah, I'm happy overall with the map pack. Yeah, you got I think it's 3 pace maps. We got 4 pace maps and 1 difficult map, and 2 of them have ice slide. So I think it's a well balanced map pack. Different. It's got gear management, dirt drifting. It's got road drifting. Some full speed elements as well. It's nice to see.
Yeah, it's a good mixed map pack this time around, and I guess this will benefit you quite a bit, because I feel like you've become quite a good all-round player, basically.
Yeah, like the most important thing for me is that the map pack is balanced. I don't care like whether it's technical, whether it's dirt, grass, plastic, whatever. I just don't want it to be saturated with one specific thing. Like, it gets very tiring very quickly. But it's good to see that there's a nice diversity in the map pack.
All right, good. And sadly, we're out of time with that, but I want to thank you once again for, well, I want to say coming up so early at 6 a.m., but I guess with your sleeping schedule, who knows how far you are in the day right now. But
I'm about
anyway.
to go to bed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, thank you a lot, and best of luck in the last step, and hopefully we'll see you at the top of the standings next week. That would be lovely.
Yeah, it would be lovely. Wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck on Sunday, and thank you for your time again.
All right, thanks for having me.
So, this was our first interview for the night and our only TMGL interview for the night. There is a reason why we were supposed to have another guest on there in the form of Gwen, but unfortunately, due to last-minute circumstances, unfortunately, he was not able to come up here, so it kind of sucks. It's the first time that it happened to us that unfortunately a guest cannot make it, but I hope you guys are still able to enjoy the interview that we had with Mada and the show nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, we have another interview coming up with Mime later on, so more interviews are coming.
Yeah, indeed. So make sure to stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let's take a look at what step 8 has onto us. I said step 5 because yeah, some of our runners have not been updated, but yeah.
I see it now.
Yeah. I think we both saw that. But yeah, step 8, of course, final step of the season with some pretty important things at stake. The final spots in the playoffs. Who gets the lion's share of the cash prize at the end of the season? Who gets the top seeds for the first stage in terms of picks and bans for the final 8 or final 9, given that there was a final chance before that. But yeah, we get to see Poolside phased out for the regular season. It will come back, of course, on the next week for the final chance, as well as for the TMGL finals, and a brand new map being put in, and that's the second contribution of Rockets to the Grand League map pack. It is none other than Icy Snake. So, you saw the very first glimpse of Icy Snake. There will be, of course, an onboard camera coming up a little bit later on. But yeah, first thing about the map, I got the chance to actually play it myself. Very much in line with Rocket's other map, Bolt Holes. It was very much more approachable than some of the other maps we've seen. The last few maps had been following that trend of becoming more approachable and being more easier throughout the map, with an identity that is, well, that has got a little bit of its own grain of salt. It is very simple in theory. With Bolt Holes, it was jumping through hoops and holes. Now it is a ice slide without any walls on the side. And yeah, the whole salt of it is going to be the timing of your inputs and trying to pull off that off consistently. Because if you mess up your ice slide by a tiny bit in terms of the timing, you might just end up going a bit wide, which would completely set you off for which can set you get you a little bit offset for the next right-hander that comes up. So it's really a bit of a balancing act in terms of inputs.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting identity. I mean, yeah, sure, it's pretty basic mapping-wise, but competition-wise, this is very, very interesting. And yeah, we'll see how the Ice Masters will do on this map. And yeah, I like the identity a lot. I like seeing it.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, I'm not really the biggest Ice fan, I'll say that much, but I found it to be pretty. I found it to be pretty enjoyable to play, and the identity is, for a casual like myself, is approachable enough. Like, if you have a basic theory of pulling off ice slides, then you'll be able to pull that off no problem after a few retries. But going really fast on that, this is where the real kicker is on this identity. It's gonna be very interesting, as you said, for the ice players like Mada to actually kind of have an opportunity to flex their muscles with this particular identity. That's the only time that we've had an ice identity, I think, for this season, as opposed to the previous one where I think we had a couple. I remember we had Slalom, but I don't remember if there was a second map after that that also had a nice identity.
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of ice over the seasons, but to be honest, an identity like this, yeah, there is ice, but we are talking about top 16 of the world. I'm sure they will manage, and the gaps will not be that big in the identity itself, but we'll have to see. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see, but yeah, we're talking about Mutta a little bit earlier during the step recap. We heard from Mutta. Well, third time's the charm for Pat. We're gonna be going on board with him for a lap around Icy Snake. I know, if you cannot get enough of Mutta, then wait, there's more. Here comes an onboard lap. So there you have it. That was a lap around Icy Snake with Mutta, and as I said a little bit while we were off camera and the replay was playing, the steez, as I said on that identity, coming off the style with ease on this this crossing of the identity. But yeah, plenty of interesting parts. I mean, we saw a negative camber grass corner with the reactor boost. We also saw a little bit of a dip in the water, trying to manage the grip. Thankfully, the section is not that hard to actually get your head around. It's just a simple left to right chicane, and the grip kind of comes back as you go from that transition from banked to flat before crossing the checkpoint. Although the part before, after that, the ramp, the debate ramp, I took that for like the first 30 minutes. I was like, well, this isn't fast. And then I had someone, I was actually doing my few recce runs live on Twitch, and I think it was Danik B saying, no, you're losing too much time. And then I saw the alternative, I'm an idiot. I'm a goddamn idiot. But yeah, I mean, it happens. It even happens to guys like me who tends to do recce runs pretty frequently and knows about the correct lines. Sometimes when you try to do discoveries, it doesn't really work out that way, and your brain goes for the big dum-dum. But yeah, pretty interesting map overall, and the different parts that we see were very well integrated. And the map and Ogl is making that a bit of a signature. Very well integrated maps with very well implemented sections. Like we saw the loops, we saw camber corners, we saw little dips in the water. I really enjoyed this map.
Yeah, exactly. Good all-around map, and then of course the ice identity. And what I noticed really from what we just saw, when Mutta played, was the amount of braking that was done to turn around your car. Oh, excuse me. And there's actually like quite a bit of braking going on, multiple seconds almost. So that is very interesting to see the timing of that to make sure that you get a good angle going into the 180.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pulling on the brakes and trying to pitch his car at the correct angle, because of course the angle is everything in terms of how sharp you can turn it on ice. But yeah, very interesting to see. So final map pack, as you can see, final map pack, the map pack for Step 8, the final step of the season, that should be more rather. The final map pack is completely different. We'll, I think, get onto that next week. If we do a show next week, we're gonna have to wait and see. I kind of announcing things too much ahead already, planning too much ahead. But yeah, Launchpad will be the first 6-lapper race, followed by Bolt Holes and Grasshopper, with Throttling Axe making its first appearance in the 6-lapper format. As I said, I'm pretty excited to see how this one fares in the regular race format, as I like to say, the 6-lapper format. And then of course Icy Snake, your brand new multiplayer map for the week. And yeah, I'm pretty much excited for all of this. So of course, make sure to tune in on Wednesday. Yeah, it's
Next week, Wednesday, when this show will happen again.
Yeah, that's the fatigue's starting to kick in at some points. I mean, you can't blame me for that, right? Anyways, on Sunday, December the 5th at 8 p.m., we will have, of course, the final step of the season. Global cast by Wurchel, as always, on twitch.tv/Wurchel, and a myriad of other POV streams in French, English, and German. Sinas casting for Spam on twitch.tv/Spammy, and as for myself, casting over on twitch.tv/McClownShadow for Kappa. And if you want a bit more info, then trackmaniagrandleague.com/watch or !main event in the chat to get both the link to see all the POV streams, as well as the schedule for the season. So, we're done with the Grand League part of this particular show, and we're going to be moving on to the Challenger part. And yeah, let me just set up the scene real quick. But so we have our second guest for today. It is none other than the current championship leader, Mime. 4th step win of the season for the Polish driver from XLT Toro. And yeah, currently firmly sitting atop of the standings, as we're just going to be preparing the scene for him very, very quickly. We're almost done, almost there. And yeah, we're just gonna do a quick sound check. Mime, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. And we're gonna be switching over to the interview scene right here. So we are back with you, Mime. Welcome back on the show. And first question is, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Basically chilling already. Just waiting for the regular season to end and play the finals soon. And
yeah, can't wait to get prepared for the finals and trying to get more stuck into the map pack. So you've been here before, you know the drill. Sinas is asking the questions. I'm just here sitting in autopilot mode. But yeah, go ahead, Sinas.
All right, welcome back, Mime. Yeah, step 4. Sorry, this is your 4th step win. 4 out of 7 already. That's more than half. Like you said already, you seems to be in chill mode right now. And I mean, who can blame you? You're very far ahead on the standings, except for Otek maybe. So indeed, I guess your mindset is already going towards the playoffs, right?
yeah, I mean, I also have the goal to stay the first, of course, after the last step. Everything can happen, of course. It's only 160 points. You can say that it's a lot, but in Challenger everything can happen. When you have a player like Otak who can easily go for 5x, then you can never be safe.
Exactly. You have to defend against someone like Otek by going for a 4x or 5x yourself to secure that #1 spot, because yeah, if you don't, he will go for it. So that is going to be an interesting battle between you two. Is that something you'll be going for, like the higher multiplier, skipping the 2x once again?
I mean, it will depend, of course. I will try to do the math. If I can like secure the step win with 3x or even 2x, then of course I will go for it. If not, then I'll try at least 4x, even 5x maybe.
All right, so yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
And looking back at last week, of course, you got that 4x round, sorry, the 4x multiplier, and that was a nice finish by you. But then going into the 5x round, and I saw you chat in the official Trackmania channel, and I quote X and like 20 Ds behind it. Because after lap 1, basically everyone started crashing, and Otek got basically sort of a free round. Yeah, how do you feel looking at that one, seeing your rival get the 5x like that?
I mean, I'm not really surprised, but I was more surprised that I got the high multiplier, because I'll be honest, this map, I've practiced the least out of all of the new maps, and it just completely wasn't my map, just like Vertigo, and I was feeling just completely inconsistent. I couldn't finish anything in the practice before the match started, and I was like, I'll just go for any multiplier, and somehow again happened to be 4x, like in Vertigo. I guess it's just luck, but that's the point system we have, and these things can happen, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you do put yourself in that position to be able to get one of those multipliers by going for it. And yeah, like you said, sometimes you don't finish a lot, but if you do finish and you finish in a fast way, then you get them sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're already looking into the future a little bit. Sure, you want to defend your first place, but what is really interesting right now is that the final is coming up. Trying to get into the Grand League itself. I think you're in a prime position for that one. And of course, the format is going to change a little bit. We're moving over to one lap maps. And how do you feel about that? Is that something you are happy with?
Yeah, of course. I'm more like a 1 lap player than 6 lap. That's for sure. I really like pure pace things, and 1 lap format is perfect for me. That's why I've played the World Cup this year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I did quite well, of course, and I'll try to do the same in the finals, of course.
Yeah, so it sounds you're reasonably confident going into the playoffs, right?
I guess. I still need to play the new map, but the map pack is good for me, so I'm happy with that. And I think I will feel comfortable enough to contest for the TMGL spot.
All right, yeah, but indeed, like you said already, the map pack is a little bit comfortable for you. You mentioned that this map that we just had in the 2X and also Vertigo were not really your style, and they are not in it. So that indeed sounds good.
Yes, the throttling act was, but thankfully it was changed to poolside, so
yeah,
that's a extremely good change for me.
Yeah, okay. Indeed, it sounds good. So, and one last thing I want to ask you about is that, well, you have 4 out of 7 step wins now. I think you have 2 times this second place. What is the secret? How do you get so consistent?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it consistent, considering my performance on 6 lappers. Pretty much every step I just failed the map completely. Like last 3 steps, I failed like 2 maps each step, so wasn't a really great performance for me. But I always get the multiplier so far. And apart from the 2x from step 3, I got like 3x and higher. So I guess that's the secret recipe to get the good points.
Oh, okay. So you just get higher multipliers. That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. That's a 5-head move. But yeah, can you elaborate a little bit on what's going on in the 6 lappers? Is there any way you can improve on that to try and get more consistent in that part of the step?
Well, I could practice more, but I usually just practice the new map and sometimes the 6 lappers as well. But I'm more like focused on new map because it's the multiplayer one. And as I already played the previous ones, then it's not really that much of a case for me, because I can just train them a lot, but and still can fail. It doesn't really matter. It's just about consistency, and I try to improve that, of course. Sometimes it works out, and like last step was pretty good, except vault holes.
Yeah.
The identity is just not for me, but.
Yeah, it is a really tight identity.
Yep.
Yeah, and I do feel like you're not really punished if you make one mistake on one of the maps here, but this might be the case if, let's say, you do promote into the Trackmania Grand League. It might be the case that you get punished for a little bit of inconsistencies throughout the first 4 maps a bit more. Is there? Yeah, I mean, this is very far into the future, right? But are you already thinking about how you're going to perform against the players of the Grand League?
That's a
or
tough
is this
question.
like too positive thinking for me? Or
yeah, of course, the TMGL environment is completely different to Challenger, and everyone needs to know that. Like, I know in Challenger I can do good. I can just go fast, try to risk. I can even chill and get top 8, but in Challenger everyone's just insane pace. You have to risk pretty much, be completely consistent. You cannot make any mistake, otherwise you just fell off the top 8 easily. And it's very hard to like perform, unless you're someone like Granadi, of course.
Yeah, unless your name is Granadi, exactly, who seems to be having no problems. But yeah, sadly we're running out of time, man, but I want to thank you a lot and wish you the best. Hopefully you can keep that #1 position and get yourself in a Grand League.
Well, thank you for having me today.
Good luck on Sunday, man, and thank you for coming in here.
Yeah, thanks.
So that was your interview with Mime. That was it was cool to actually see him back on the show and seeing a bit of his mindset of how he actually goes about practicing, only focusing on the new maps, seeing himself that he's more of a one-lap player than a six-lap player. It's very interesting to hear Mime's point of view and his own kind of reflection of the previous steps that he actually played as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it shows that he's focusing on the new map with the high multipliers, and yeah, well, it's a strategy that works clearly, so should probably keep doing it.
Yeah, you should perhaps keep doing that. Go continue on that path. Good work. Of course, it might seem like I'm a condescending asshole to do that. I'm sorry for this curse word, but there's no other way to say it. But I don't mean to transpire like that. You know, sometimes I try to do the funny, and the funny doesn't really come across nicely. Anyways,
well, if you call it yourself a geek, it's probably fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a GGeek, so G-rated. I don't know. But yeah, I digress too much. Coming back onto the step itself of the challenger, so Mime taking his 4th step win of the season, 67 points scored in the first 4 races, and then won the level 4 multiplier of round 7, allowing him to score 268 points to score the step win. Second place for Otak, who scored 40 points in the first 4 races, but won the 8th and final round, quintupling his score, scoring 200 points. And then behind him, like barely 30 points, like 26 points between 3rd and 8th of the step. Sorry, 3rd and 8th of the step are regrouped within just 26 points. And in the podium spot, we find Mi4, 134 points score for him over the course of the step, 67 in the first 4 races, and then he won level 2 multiplayer. I think he won the first round. Let me actually check back in. I do have video evidence. Yeah, he won the very first round on Throttling X. Then Link in P4, also commendable performance for the former Grizzly esport player, winning level 3 multiplier and scoring a total of 129 points. So that's 43 points scored in the first 4 races. And then Solja sitting in, who finished in P5, just a few points behind him, 128 points for Solja, who scored 64 in the first 4 races, and won a level 2 multiplier round to get his score up to that tally. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at the standings for Challenger after the 7th step has been played out. So Mime very much in the firm lead of the standings with 1,747 points. Otak sitting in P2, miles ahead of Evon in P3. Hydra in P4 staying put. Wasile, Energized, Mi4, and Link complete the top 8. But you can see, even counting in Mi4, there is going to be a fierce fight between Mi4, Link, Dofalt, Solja, Cap, and Razi for those final few spots in the TMGLC final. Snow currently staying put in P13. I think he's somewhat out of harm's way, unless Nixotica is able to step it up and get a really good step compared to Snow. But yeah, so far, still Nixotica, Figly, and Revolution down in the bottom 3. It might seem like, for Revolution, it might seem like pretty much game over at this point, unless he makes a miraculous step and goes for the theoretical max out of 540. How did that fall on that?
Let's go, Revolution.
Let's go, Revo. Yay. But, yeah, I mean, for me, it looks as though the bottom 3 is set in stone, so we might be getting those. I think we might see those players getting replaced with the top 3 of OGL. Remember, that's how the relegation system works. But, yeah, those final few spots, 7th through 7th through 12th, are definitely going to be a hot topic here. And also, Evon is, even though he's around 100 points ahead of Hydra, he's still not far. He's still not that far away from being reeled in by Hydra or even Wasile or Energize. If they get a good step going, they could potentially get themselves up onto the podium and try to get themselves in the cash prize paying position.
That's true, but I mean, with the way Evon was playing last week, a little bit unlucky that he didn't get the multiplier, but I thought his performance was really good. I can't imagine him not getting top 3 this at the end, but there is, of course, a chance that it happens.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to get into the top 3 of OGL, Masa. Don't worry about it. So, next step, of course, the final step of the season is on December 5th at 6 p.m. CET. Well, the top 3 has already been revealed by Ekosta, but of course we're gonna get the rundown of the OGL standings anyway. But yeah, for this weekend, I will be accompanied by another man from the Grand League, from the Rocket League scene. Sorry. And that man is Thunder from Canada. He's one of the casters from Minor League Esports. He's also participated in the Trackmania showcase of Minor League Esports. And this Rocket League caster has been, featured on MLE. He's also been featured on the Astronaut Star Circuit finals earlier this month, and he's also been featured on RLCS Season 10 as well as the RLCS 2021 and 2022 Sub-Sahara Africa qualifiers as well. So plenty of experience in the back. He's also very much like other Rocket League casters I've actually worked with previously. He's very much interested in the game. He's really falling in love with it, and yeah, I'm more than happy to actually commentate with him. It's going to be very cool to actually close out the season, the regular season with Thunder. We have a few there are going to be a few things going as well for the final stream on December 18th, but no more info for now. You will get that information in due time. So make sure to tune in on December 5th at 6 p.m. CET for the final step of the season, twitch.tv/Trackmania, right here on this very channel for the final step of the season. Now, quick recap about the OGL standings after step number 6 has been played out. So, the top 3 has already been given by Yekosto in the chat, and they're leading ahead of Skandir and Sapi. The Darkwave sits in P4, P5 for Hugo 220, Bresso sitting in P6, Mika and Alpha currently sitting in P7 and P8. Alpha in tied for points with Hornets. As we speak, Hornets sitting just behind him in P9. Of course, there is going to be the next step of OGL being played out this weekend, the 7th step of the season at 6 p.m. CET on Saturday. If you want to take part in it, make sure you have club access, you register in the in-game event, and join the in-game server just before the start of the step, and then you're pretty much good to go. And then, of course, on Sunday, 6 p.m. for the Challenger here on twitch.tv/Trackmania, and the TMGL Top Flight at 8 p.m. CET on all the various streams available. Virtual stream, Sinas' stream on Spam's channel, my stream on McLaren Shadow's channel, ! Main event in the chat to get the full rundown on TrackmaniaGrandLeague.com/watch. And, well, I guess, ladies and gentlemen, we're already at the end of the show. It's a bit of a shorter show than what we would usually do. We would usually finish at around 9 p.m. But, yeah, due to some of the circumstances that we highlighted a little bit earlier, yeah, it has not panned out that way, and we kind of feel sorry about it, but yeah, you know, it happens. It was not really in our control.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry about it, but we do get the 2 extra minutes that we normally do later than scheduled, so that is good. We are still consistent in that one.
Yeah. So let me just see who we can raid for today. I think I feel like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna rate someone that's I have known for that I have known for a while in the Trackmania scene. But Masa, we did a brief rundown of the top 8. We don't usually show the graphic. We don't have a graphic up there. So yeah, I said that we said the top 8: NR, Skandir, Sapi, the Darkwix, Hugo 220, Bresso, Mika, Alpha. That's your top 8, Masa. But yeah. I'm gonna send you over to S. She is a streamer that I've known from the Canyon days, back when I was actually casting Canyon, and yeah, she's having her 5th stream anniversary right now. She's playing she's playing Bennett 48 My CP, so the Getting Over It map. I want you to send her some love, and yeah, say hello from us here over on the official Trackmania channel. Thank you very much for tuning in, and yeah, we'll see you. I hope we'll see you next week on Wednesday. We're gonna have to wait and see, but yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week with the weekly show, and I'll see you on Sunday for Challenger. Have a good one, guys.
Goodbye.